The grand hall of Velmora echoed with disappointment. One by one, kings, generals, and legendary warriors stepped forward to face Princess Elira's trial. Each claimed strength. Each boasted honor. Each failed. Some broke under the mental test. Others panicked when their weapons were taken away. A few walked out angrily, unable to accept rejection. Elira watched them all with calm, tired eyes. Power alone had never impressed her. At the edge of the hall stood someone no one noticed. A human janitor. His uniform was plain. His hands were rough from work. He had been cleaning the floors since morning, quietly listening as nobles argued and warriors bragged. When the final challenger stormed out in rage, the council laughed when the janitor stepped forward. "This is no place for you," one noble sneered. The human bowed politely. "I'm not here to win," he said softly. "I just wanted to try." The trial began without ceremony. No weapons. No titles. Only a choice. Elira presented him with the same impossible question she had given the others: would you sacrifice victory to save someone who cannot repay you? The janitor didn't hesitate. "Yes," he answered. "I do it every day. Cleaning what others leave behind. Helping people who never notice me. That's just being human." The hall fell silent. The trial reacted, not with fire or light, but with stillness. Acceptance. For the first time, Elira smiled. She had rejected kings and warriors because they wanted to be chosen. The human janitor never did. He simply showed who he was. And in that moment, the Empire understood why humanity was feared, not for its power, but for its heart. Silence gripped the grand hall long after the trial accepted the human janitor. The nobles whispered. The warriors clenched their fists. A few kings looked away, ashamed. Princess Elira stood slowly, her gaze fixed on the man who still held the cleaning cloth in his hand, unsure if he had done something wrong. "You may leave," the council leader said coldly. "The trial is complete." The janitor nodded and turned back toward his cart. "Wait," Elira said. Her voice stopped the room. "What is your name?" she asked. He hesitated. "Elias," he replied. "Just Elias." "Not sir. Not champion. Just a name." Elira stepped down from the dais, ignoring shocked gasps. No princess had ever descended to meet a trial candidate as an equal. She looked at Elias's worn boots, his tired eyes, and the quiet dignity he carried without knowing it. "The trial didn't choose you by accident," she said. "It responded to intent, not strength." Elias frowned. "I don't understand, Your Highness. I didn't do anything special." "That's exactly why it chose you," she answered gently. Before the council could protest, alarms rang through the palace. A massive energy surge erupted beyond the capital walls, the ancient Sentinel awakening. For centuries, it had judged civilizations. Now, it stirred. "Our champions will handle it," a general declared. "They already failed," Elira said sharply. She turned to Elias. "The Sentinel responds only to truth. Will you help me?" Fear crossed his face, but he didn't run. "If people are in danger," he said quietly, "then yes." The Empire watched in disbelief as a princess walked beside a janitor toward a threat no army had ever defeated. For the first time, power bowed, not to royalty, but to humanity's quiet courage. The Sentinel rose beyond the capital like a living mountain. Its ancient body was made of shifting stone and light, covered in symbols no scholar had ever fully translated. Entire fleets had once been destroyed just by its awakening. Armies gathered at the walls, weapons shaking in their hands. Elias stood at the front, feeling painfully small. "I don't belong here," he whispered. Princess Elira didn't look at the Sentinel. She looked at him. "None of us ever think we do," she said. "That's why it listens." The Sentinel's voice thundered across the plains, shaking the sky itself. Who claims the right to speak for this world? Generals stepped forward, and were thrown back by invisible force. Diplomats tried words, and were silenced. Fear spread like fire. Elias stepped forward before he could stop himself. I don't speak for the world, he said, his voice trembling but clear. I speak for the people who clean it. Fix it. Hold it together when no one's watching. The Sentinel paused. You are weak. Elias nodded. Yes. That's why we rely on each other. The symbols across the Sentinel shifted. You have no power. I know, Elias replied. Power breaks things. Responsibility fixes them. Elira felt her breath catch. The armies lowered their weapons. The world seemed to hold still. The Sentinel's glow softened. Human. You accept limitation. Yes, Elias said. That's how we survive. For the first time in recorded history, the Sentinel knelt. Not before a throne. Not before an empire. Before a human who never asked to matter. And in that moment, the galaxy learned a terrifying truth. Humanity didn't conquer worlds by force. It endured them. The Sentinel's kneel sent a shockwave through the galaxy. Across the capital, soldiers dropped to one knee without realizing it. Commanders stared at their displays in disbelief. Historians would later argue whether it was fear or awe that silenced the world, but in that moment, it was both. Elias didn't feel victorious. He felt exposed. As the Sentinel powered down and returned to its ancient slumber, the attention of an entire empire turned toward one human who still smelled faintly of cleaning solvent. Cameras hovered. Drones recorded every breath. I just want to go back to work, Elias murmured. Princess Elira heard him. That night, instead of a celebration, she invited him to the quiet garden above the palace. No guards. No banners. Just starlight and distant city noise. You changed everything today, she said. Elias shook his head. I didn't change anything. I just said what was true. Elira studied him for a long moment. That's what scares them, she admitted. Our empires are built on appearing strong. Yours survives by admitting weakness. News spread fast. Some worlds demanded human advisors. Others called humanity dangerous. A few closed their borders entirely. The council summoned Elias the next morning. They offered him titles. Wealth. A command position. He refused them all. I'll help, he said, but not above anyone. And not alone. The council didn't understand, but Elira did. For the first time, she saw a future that wasn't ruled by crowns or trials, but by shared responsibility. As Elias returned to the corridors he once cleaned, people stepped aside, not out of fear, but respect. And the Empire realized something unsettling. The most powerful beings in the galaxy might still be carrying mop buckets. The Empire tried to move on. Trade routes reopened. News channels stopped repeating Elias's name every hour. The Sentinel slept. On the surface, peace returned, but underneath, something was shifting. Princess Elira felt it every day. She now sat in council chambers where humans were listened to. Not honored. Not worshipped. Listened to. And every time a debate stalled, every time pride threatened reason, one name lingered unspoken. Elias. He avoided the palace as much as he could. He still cleaned, still fixed broken things, still helped people who didn't know who he was, or pretended not to. But he couldn't escape the change inside himself. One evening, Elira found him in an unused corridor, repairing a cracked light panel. You could have left, she said softly. Many humans would have. He smiled faintly. Someone has to keep the lights on. She watched his hands work. Steady. Patient. Honest. I was raised to believe rulers must stand above everyone, she confessed. But when the Sentinel knelt, it wasn't asking for a ruler. It was asking a question. Elias looked at her. What question? What kind of future do we choose, she said, when strength fails? Silence stretched between them, not awkward, but heavy. I don't know if I belong in that future, Elias said at last. Elira stepped closer. Neither do I, she admitted. But maybe that's why we should build it together. For the first time, Elias didn't step back. Outside the palace, stars shifted as human ships arrived, unarmed, carrying engineers, medics, teachers. Not conquerors. The galaxy was watching. And soon, it would ask the same question the Sentinel had. This time, the answer would change everything. The Galactic Assembly had never been this quiet. Worlds that once measured worth in fleets and firepower now waited for a human janitor to speak. Elias stood at the center, not elevated, not armored, just a man in simple clothes, hands folded, eyes steady. I won't speak for humanity, he began. Because no one human can. Murmurs spread. But I can tell you what we do when no one is watching, he continued. We fix what's broken. We care for people we'll never meet again. We choose responsibility over glory, because tomorrow still needs to work. The great screens flickered. Reports appeared, human relief crews rebuilding alien cities, doctors working without payment, engineers restoring failing worlds. No banners. No demands. Princess Elira stepped forward beside him. My people sought perfection, she said. Humanity chose persistence. That is why the Sentinel listened. The assembly voted, not to crown Elias, not to elevate humanity above others, but to change the rules of power itself. Trials were abolished. Conquest treaties dissolved. Cooperation replaced dominance. For the first time in history, the Sentinel awoke one last time. It did not judge. It deactivated, its purpose fulfilled. Years later, children would ask how the galaxy changed so suddenly. The answer was never a battle. Elias returned to quiet work, teaching, repairing, guiding, never ruling. Elira ruled differently now, walking among her people, not above them. They were often seen together, not as legend and hero, but as partners. And the galaxy learned the truth that would echo forever. Humanity was not feared because it was strong. Humanity was feared because it refused to abandon the future.